Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome to my channel. My name's Alexa, and I post mostly lifestyle and some bookish content. And if you can tell by the name and the thumbnail of this video, today I will be telling you guys about the 9 books that I read. Basically, the reason why I'm not saying a specific number is because there's one that I'm a bit less than halfway done, but I'm gonna finish tonight because it's the 31st right now and it's like a really short book. So most likely 9 books that I read will read in January, and the 11 books that I want to read in February. So let's get into this video. Sorry if I sound weird, by the way. My nose is a tiny bit stuffy, but it's fine, you know? So for those of you who are new, basically the way I function is that I read a lot of books and I cannot afford to buy every single book that I read, or to own them physically. So what I do is I read on my Kindle a lot, on Libby. So what I do is I always start with the books that I don't own and I own on my Kindle, and I just pop the image right here on the screen, and then I talk about the books that I have physically. So the first book that I read in 2024 was The Deal. Yeah, The Deal. So which is the first book in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. I've been on Book Talk since 2020 and I haven't even read that book. That is insane. Like, it's been almost 4 years and I hadn't read that book, which is one of the biggest Book Talk books. And I guess I hadn't read it because it wasn't on Kindle Unlimited yet. It was very expensive, but it's finally on Kindle Unlimited. So I started the series. I read the first book and I loved it so much. I rated it 5 stars. It was such a great way to start the year. I enjoyed it so much. It was so good. I really loved the characters and I cannot wait to continue this series. Yeah. After that, as you can tell, by the way, I was in my hockey romance era, because after that I read The Offside by Avery Keelan, which is the first book in the Rules of the Game series. Yeah, I rated this book a 4.25 out of 5. I thought it was really cute. I loved it. It wasn't as good as The Deal for me, but it was still really good, really cute. I loved it. I loved the whole concept of like the rivals teams, and I loved how the two main characters met. I just thought their story was really cute. After that, we have Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. That one was I think 4.25 out of 5 or 4.5, I can't remember. But I enjoyed it really much. I preferred it than the first one in the series. I just loved what was the trope again? I think it was like a grumpy sunshine trope. I just really loved it. It was so cute. I love that she owned a flower shop. I love that the whole way that they started dating. I'm not gonna say anything because or else it'd be really like spoilery, but I found it so cute. I love the continuation of the story and seeing the characters. So yeah, I did prefer this book's plot over the first one. Just it felt a little less cliche, but I still really enjoyed the first one, which I read I think back in October or November. After that we have the last book that I don't have physically with me, and it is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. If you've been here long enough, you know that I am an Ali Hazelwood girly. I love Ali Hazelwood. I have read every single one of her books. I cannot wait for her fantasy debut that's coming out in February. I must read it. This one was her young adult debut. It was also her first book that technically did not revolve around science, which is insane to me because all of her other 3 books and then her one novella book was like around science. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it was fun to see her write a different type of novel, even if it's the same genre, a different subgenre. It was nice to see her write young adult instead of new adult. I really enjoyed it. It was 5 out of 5. I might even have to say that it's one of my new favorite Ali Hazelwood books. I know it's definitely up there. Like, for me, Love Hazelwood will always be number one because, did I say Love Hazelwood? No, the Love Hypothesis. Love Hypothesis will always be number one because it is the first book that I read from her and the first book that got me into romance, so it will always have to be number one. But number two, it's equal between Love Theoretically and Check and Mate. After that, we have the book that may or may not have absolutely destroyed me in the best way possible. Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. Now, if you have not read this series, what are you doing? Why are you not reading it yet? It's the Magnolia Park series. This is the second book. I preferred this over the first book. This one was a what was it? It was a 5 out of 5 stars. It's probably one of my new favorite books of all time. When I read the ending, when I tell you that I almost cried and screamed, it was like midnight. I had school the next day. I had to wake up early. I think I had to wake up at 5:30, I think, the next day or something like that. 5:30, or I can't wait. What time did I have to wake up? Anyways, I had to wake up early the next day and I still stayed up reading this book. I almost never stay up reading books like late. I think I've only done it twice. It's with this one and I think the other one I did it with was it Saving 7, Redeeming 7? Anyway, the last book of not Joey. Basically, Aoife and her boyfriend in the whole Boys of Tommen series. That book and this one were the only two that I've stayed up reading. That's insane. Like, with the amount of books I read, you'd think that I stay up late reading to like finish a book a lot more often, but I'm someone who values my sleep a lot, so the fact that on a school night I stayed up reading this book means a lot. It is just so good. I recommend you go read this series right now. After that, we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. Now, this one is a 3.75 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, I love a good romance fantasy, but there wasn't enough romance for me in it, you know? And the fantasy it wasn't fantasy enough to really like fully reel me in. So that's why it's more of a 3.75. So like, it's not, for me, a 5.5, a 5 out of 5 would be like Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas, or like, what else? Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. Those books would be 5 out of 5 for me. Like, the perfect mix of romance and fantasy. So this one was maybe a bit too much of a urban fantasy, but I know it's a trilogy, so I'm thinking there might be more romance as the series advances. Next, we have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one I started back in October, and recently I was on my I'm gonna finish books that I started a while ago grind. So I decided to finally finish it, and I really enjoyed it. It was a 4.5 out of 5. Originally I rated it a 5 out of 5, but I slept, like, as I thought about it as I went on, it wasn't as much of a 5 out of 5 because I didn't binge read it in one day. I wasn't constantly on my toes wanting to finish this book. So that's the only reason why it wasn't a 5 out of 5. But it was so good. I didn't like see the plot twist coming at all. I was shocked. I was trying to guess certain things. I thought that a certain someone was something. That's the most vague thing I can say ever, but I don't want to spoil, you know? So I thought that, I mean, there's always a villain in a thriller book. I thought a certain someone was a villain, and they weren't, which was the biggest plot twist for me. It was crazy. But yeah, 4.75 out of 5. After that, we have, sorry, I'm removing my little bookmark because I finished it on my Kindle. We have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I love Lauren Asher. I love her. I finished this 2 days ago. I loved it. It is that one and Final Offer are my two favorite Lauren Asher books. And for a new book to become one of my new favorite Lauren Asher books, it has to be really great because all of her books are amazing. So for this one to top most of her, to top, like, I think I've read, wait, how many has she written? 8? So for those two to top all 6 other books that I read by her is insane. This one is the first one in the Lake Wisteria series, which comes after the Dreamland Billionaires, where I would really recommend you read that entire series before you read this one because there's some characters in it that are prominent in the series, I would say. And things that you wouldn't understand if you hadn't read the last book in that series, and you won't understand the last book in the Dreamland Billionaire series if you haven't read the other ones before. So I definitely recommend reading those 3 books before this one, but you don't have to read her other Formula 1 series before that other series. So yeah, but this one, the couple is amazing. I love the kind of like HGTV feel behind it, the design. As someone who has watched hours and hours of HGTV, I just loved it. I love also the cover of like the paint and how like the paint colors mean certain things for different books. It feels so special to me. But yeah, that was, wait, no, I have one last book. This is the last book I've read this year. I'm about 70 pages through. I'm really enjoying it so far, but it's 250 pages. I could easily finish it tonight. This is the newest book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I'm loving it so far. This series is one of my comfort series. I've read almost every book in that entire universe, which is insane. I think I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with this one. I'm missing 6 books. I am currently watching the Disney Plus TV show. I'm finishing it tonight because it is currently Wednesday and it came out last night at 9 p.m. but I was sleeping at 9, so I wasn't gonna watch it while I was sleeping, but I'm watching it with my parents tonight and I'm so excited, but I'm also so sad to see it end. But yeah, that was it for the books that I read. So now on to the TBR. Now the full TBR is books that I have physically, so I'm going to go through them a bit quickly just because I don't want you guys to get bored. So first we have The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. This is the movie cover. I hate it, but I got it for free in a little free library, so it's fun. I've always wanted to watch the movie and I haven't, so I decided that this would be the way that I would watch the movie because it's a quick, like, I think it's 215 pages? 213 pages. I can read this easily. So, I'm excited to get emotionally wrecked by this one. So, yeah, prepare for a little rant at the end of the month. And then we have Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. I don't fully know what this is about, but I just read that it's house flipping sensation and YouTube star, so I'm excited. The cover looks cute. Honestly, I only got it because it's a Lucy Score book and it was on sale on Book Outlet, which it was like $8. You don't get these books for $8. If, like, it's insane. This deal was insane and I want to read it because it's Valentine's Day this month, so I want to read fun little romance books. Next, I want to reread one of the books that have emotionally destroyed me, which is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I need to reread this so bad. I've been wanting to reread this forever. I read this originally in 2021, I think. Wait, no, maybe it was 2022. Yeah, I read this in 2022, and I have thought about it every single day ever since I read it. I just didn't have it physically, and I only bought it in October, and I had been in a huge reading slump when I bought it, so I haven't reread it yet, but it is in my plans for this month. After that, we have, I'm trying to see which way the book goes. Okay, it goes this way. Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. Also, guys, this is why I couldn't tell which way it went, because it felt, I was like, which way do the legs go? This one is the third book in the Magnolia Park series. I can't wait to get back to this couple. I read the first Magnolia Parks book. I think it was maybe last year in April, so I need to watch a TikTok or two recapping the entire first book so I can remember. But I did just read Daisy Hates, so I kind of have a general idea of what's been happening. So I can't wait to get emotionally wrecked by this one as well. So I guess this is my month where I'm gonna cry over books, you know? After that, we have X's and O's by Amy Leah. So I know this one is technically the first book, but it's the second book in the series, but it's an interconnected standalone series, so I don't count it as like the second book. So this one is I guess this month the theme is social media books. So the little tiny blurb is a romance novel obsessed social media influencer revisits her exes on her hunt for true love in this romantic comedy. Like, isn't it so cute? And the little hearts, probably gonna read it on Valentine's Day because it's just adorable and I'm so excited to read it. I've been wanting to read it forever. I literally almost bought it a year ago, so when I saw that on my shelves when I was looking for what books I was gonna read this month, I had to. After that, we have The Son of the Star by Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro. This one is also in the Percy Jackson universe, but I cannot tell you what this is about without spoiling it. So if you haven't read the original Percy Jackson books, or, well, no, if you haven't read Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus, I'm sorry, you guys will not be hearing what this is about. I mean, even if you've read it, you won't hear it, but you can read it online, you know? But yeah, this is just about two characters doing something. That's all I can tell you without completely spoiling the entire series, the entire 10 books that go before this one. After, I don't even know if it's 10 books. It might even be like 15 books that come before this one. Then we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This one is a fantasy book. The little blurb that I'm going to read is, for as long as Signa Farrow has been alive, the people in her life have fallen like stars. Like, doesn't this sound so good? And isn't the cover so cute and just beautiful? I can't stop looking at this cover with the flowers and how realistic the shadows and the highlights on the face look. It's absolutely gorgeous. Then we have a big one. We have Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. This book is 800 pages long. 800 pages. I put this on my TBR in honor of yesterday, the third book in this series getting released. I will not be getting the third book physically until probably in a year or a year and a half because I need to get it in paperback when it comes out in paperback because I have the first two in paperback and there's no way I'm having the huge hardcover next to those two. I guess I'm just gonna have to read on my Kindle or something. But yeah, this is her third series that she came out with. I finished her first series about a bit over a year ago in October of last year. Well, technically it's not a complete series, I don't think her ACOTAR series is complete. It doesn't feel complete. And then I finished her other series, Throne of Glass, back in April. So I think it's time that I conquer the beast, which is the Crescent City series. After that, we have another fantasy book. The rest are fantasy books, by the way. I'm entering my fantasy era in February, I've decided, is Foul Lady Fortune. I can't remember how far I made it into this book, but I'm gonna have to restart it most likely because I forgot everything that happens. But this is the third installment in the entire 1930s Shanghai universe. I don't know what the name of this series is, but it's the first book in a new series, and it's by Chloe Gong. I read the first two books in the universe in 2021. So I read the first book in 2021. So I read the first book in July 2021 and the second book in November. I had gotten the second book as an arc on my, like an e-arc, so I was reading it. As I was reading it, I was like close to finishing it when I was like lunchtime in high school, and I one thing, if you don't know anything about ARCs, which are advanced readers copies, it's when publishers send you books before they're released. And Simon & Schuster had sent me that book. And I was reading the last chapter. If you don't know what happens in the last chapter, you'll just have to read to see what actually happens. But if you have, you know what happens. And I was I was trying to not bawl my eyes out in the middle of the cafeteria, and I couldn't tell anyone why I was on the verge of crying, except, oh, something in a book. Because you're not allowed to give any spoilers to anyone. Like, legally, you kind of like sign not an official contract, but they will be able, because of copyright laws and all that, they will be able to sue you. So I was like, even if it's someone who I know is not going to tell anyone, I don't feel like getting sued, so I just had to stay quiet until the next week when the book came out, and then I was able to go on a full-out rant to my mom when my review came out. So next we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This one is a fantasy series, a fantasy book. I'll read you the little back because I don't even know what this full book's about. So, I don't know how to pronounce this name, but I think it's Payton or something like that. Payton, thief, ordinary, survivor. I've never been looked at like it's a privilege to be in my presence, an honor to hold my gaze, a gift to get a glimpse of me, not until I met him. Kai, prince, elite, enforcer. I am to be her enemy. I want it to be because she loathes herself for wanting me. She is the very thing that he has spent his whole life hunting. He is the very thing she has spent her whole life pretending to be, and fate ensured they would find each other. Isn't this cover gorgeous? I'm obsessed with it. We have one last book on the TBR, and this one is also big, and it is one of my most anticipated reads ever. And it is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I'm already no, I'm not even. I thought I had already started this book, but I guess I hadn't. What is this? Guys, it is huge. The writing is tiny, and it's 650 pages. So I guess February will just be the month of me reading huge books. And I mean, why am I reading huge books in the shortest month of the year? Like, what is going on, you know? But this book, I can't really tell you what it's about because it's the second book in a fantasy series. But if you haven't read Fourth Wing, which is the first book in this series, Fourth Wing is a book about this universe where you go to school to be either, I think it's a scribe, a rider, like you ride dragons, a healer, or there's a third one that I can't remember. And you go to school and you're sorted into one of those you go to school to be one of those four things, you decide. And then if you go to school to be a writer, you have to go through all these things. And then if you survive, yes, you go to school and chances are you will die. But if you survive, after a while, you get connected with a dragon, I guess. You get like a connection, the dragon picks you. And then this girl, I can't remember what her name is, but you know, it's one of my favorite books, and I can't even remember the main character's name. Wait, it's probably in the little blurb here. Violet Sorngale. She is basically, her parents died, and as always, why do parents always die in a fantasy novel, fantasy series? But yeah, basically, someone always dies. Not always parents, but someone always dies. Like, her parents died when she was young, and so did her brother, and she gets to this school to be a writer because her mom isn't dead. What? It's only the dad who died, I think. Yeah, it's only the dad. What am I talking about? The mom isn't dead. The mom is basically like the dean of all people who were at the writer's school, and the dad was a scribe, and Violet kind of wants to be a scribe, but like her whole family was writers other than her dad, so she has to be a writer to follow the family legacy. And like there's this love triangle kind of, but not really, because I hate one of the two guys and the other one is just clearly superior. But yeah, those were all the books that I read and want to read. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my 25 minutes or I don't know how long it is. I just know that I just filmed for 25 minutes. So a 25-minute rant on the books I read this past month and the books that I'm going to read in this upcoming month. And if I convinced you to read any of these books, I mean, I hope I did, but I most likely didn't, because I'm the most vague person ever when it comes to book reviews, because I can remember everything that happened, but in such a vague way because I read a lot. And I have a short attention span, so I can remember like a specific scene and then the entirety of the book, but like in a very vague way, you know? Like I'll remember kind of the whole plot in a very blurry way, but then there's like 10 scenes in the books that I can really like recite from start to end. And then if I convince you to read any of the books that are on my TBR, I'm also surprised because I don't even tell you guys what it's about, really. I just describe the vibes and the cover. But yeah, if you want to see more of the chaos that is my life and my ADHD, please consider going to my Instagram and my TikTok and all of my other socials, which are down in the bio. So I hope you guys have a nice... Oh yeah, one thing I always forget to say is if you did enjoy this video, also please don't forget to comment, to comment video ideas, what you read this month, what you're about to read this next month, what your current read is, liking the video, because, you know, if you did enjoy it and you want to see more of my content, you have to engage, because if you do engage, I'll pop up in your explore page more when I upload videos, and that you subscribe, because if you did really enjoy, then you guys can follow along on this journey. I post most of the time I post on Mondays, and then sometimes there will be a bonus video. So yeah, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, morning, evening, whatever time it is for you guys. So yeah, bye!